The grilled salmon, I'm assuming it came from a river around here because it was that fresh. You could tell it was like wild caught. At least it seemed that way. Maybe it's just Costco. They got a Costco on the other side of this mountain, right?
Do they?
Yeah, in Deadhorse.
You're being...
We're going to Costco in Deadhorse. I'll see you guys when we get there.
Got a dog in me.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Alaskan adventure. Since the last time I talked to you, we covered a lot of ground. We started this journey in Denver, Colorado, made our way up through Montana, up into Calgary, Alberta, Canada. While we were making our way through Canada, we of course had to stop at one of my bucket list spots, Banff National Park. We went on a little bit of a hike there, camped for the night at Jasper National Park just north of there, and then in the morning in Jasper, we had the opportunity to go on a little boat cruise all the way out to Spirit Island, one of the most scenic and probably remote locations in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. So we left off about 3 days ago. It is currently June 7th, and over the past 3 days we made the immense journey all the way up the Alaskan Highway, where we saw a ton of wildlife. It was a rough highway if you're not used to driving really long miles on fairly rough terrain for a highway. We saw moose and caribou and elk and bison. We saw some black bears, and we also saw our first wild grizzly bear. We're not really from around grizzly country, so it was pretty cool to see that. This guy only had one eyeball, which is wild. Now, along our route on the Alaska Highway, we camped at some really amazing locations, mainly by lakes and rivers because they're of course abundant up here. Last night we found a camp spot right along a river. We actually camped literally right next to the water on a riverbank just east of Fairbanks. And that brings us to our journey for today. This video and maybe like a few follow-up videos, we are about to tackle the Dalton Highway. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the Dalton Highway, then you probably haven't heard much about exploring around Alaska, because as you can see on the sign behind me, this is the gateway to the Arctic. This is going to take us all the way up to Prudhoe Bay, which is basically where roads stop in Alaska and North America. This is a 414-mile dirt, gravel, and pavement mixed road, which leads us all the way to the beginning of the Alaska Pipeline in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. This highway is basically going to follow the pipeline all the way up through the rugged Alaskan wilderness, and there's going to be a lot of varying difficulty road conditions. There's going to be a ton of wildlife and a lot of views along the way as well. Now, I of course have been building up my storyteller for the past year and a half or so, really tailoring it to the adventures that I want to take it on, and this is really going to put all of the modifications and the van itself to the test. Some quick things to note: I do have a 45-gallon fuel tank in here from SB Filters, so that is basically going to give me the range from here all the way to Prudhoe Bay without stopping. That doesn't mean I'm not going to stop. I'm definitely going to hit a couple of stops along the way just for peace of mind, but in theory it could be done. As far as livability goes, we did stop in Fairbanks and stocked the van fridge and all of our cabinets in there, so we have food for at least 3 days, probably about 5 days. And I also just recently installed a 45-gallon water tank in here, which means we'll have fresh water to shower, brush our teeth, clean dishes with. And I actually filled that up in Colorado, and we still have well over half a tank, so water is going to be no worries for us. We have Van Compass 6.3 suspension on there with their inverted rally struts. I have an Agile Off-Road ARB air locker in the rear. Probably won't need to use that, but it's nice to have. We of course have recovery gear and the winch up front, all of our lighting in case it gets a little bit dark, which up here it's really only going to get dark for like an hour because we're getting so far to the top of the earth. I've got basically everything dialed in, and I'm not exactly sure how long this adventure is going to take us, but I am absolutely looking forward to it. Now, if you're doing the Dalton Highway by the book, you're going to leave from this Levengood area, and the first stop will be Camp Yukon, which is honestly not too far from here. You can get probably some groceries and definitely fuel up there. From there, you're going to be hauling all the way up to Coldfoot, where you are going to stop for fuel once more before the longest part of the journey all the way up to Prudhoe Bay. Once you're in the Deadhorse and Prudhoe Bay area, that is going to be the area where you can actually get access to the Arctic Ocean. We will definitely be doing that once we get up there. You're gonna fuel up again and then basically repeat that whole thing backwards. So from Prudhoe Bay, Deadhorse area, you're gonna stop in Coldfoot and then again at Camp Yukon, eventually making your way all the way back down to here at the start, and then you can head back into Fairbanks. The road has been very rough so far on the way up here. I have my suspension dialed in to a certain point, and we'll talk about that more as we travel along here. There's a really good chance that I'm going to air down since we will be off-road-ish for like 800 or so miles. So far the suspension is doing a really great job, so I don't feel the need to air down just yet, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So sit back, relax, enjoy this journey, come along with us on the Dalton Highway as we make our way all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. About 40 or 50-ish miles later, and we are already at the first stop, the Yukon camp, or technically we are at the Yukon contact station here, and we've been following the Alaskan pipeline here the entire time. Now growing up, I've only really seen photos of this in textbooks and stuff in school, but it's honestly pretty cool to see in person. This has got to be one of the longest man-made things that I have ever seen before in person. Let's get as close as we can to it. I could touch it. Are you allowed to touch it?
Touch the butt.
I don't know if you're allowed to touch the pipeline. I'm touching the Alaskan pipeline. There is a ton of information here about all the bridges, the Yukon River, which you just saw us come over, and basically just the history of the Dalton Highway. So this would be the first easy stop if we needed to get fuel or anything. There is this little pump station over here where in the later fall, September time, it's packed with cars, people up here moose hunting and stuff like that. And I just talked to a gentleman over here at the station, and he said that most people come up here, they go a little bit further to get into the Arctic Circle, and then that's it. They don't even go all the way to the Arctic Ocean. But we are not stopping. What's up?
I wanted you to walk down to the exhibits with us.
Oh, I was talking to that guy for 30 minutes.
Seems like a nice guy.
He was very nice and knowledgeable. He said that a ton of people will come up here, go a little bit further to be in the Arctic Circle, and then they go back.
Bunch of
Why would you do that?
Leave that out.
I mean, the road will get gnarlier and much more remote as time goes on, but that's what we're here for.
Come on, you gotta walk down to the Yukon River with us.
Oh, okay. Look at this, hike number 2 of the trip.
Hike.
Yeah, this is a hike.
Heavy quotation marks there.
I hate hiking.
Oh no.
Cam, did you lose your ball?
Where is it?
Oh, you found it.
Oh, good girl. Good girl.
Here's a good representation. We started our morning out along this river here, went into Fairbanks, up to Living Good, where we started.
Yeah, we are living good. Living real good.
And now we've only gone this short little distance up to the Yukon River. From here, Coldfoot will put us about halfway to Deadhorse, where we're going. We've got this crazy mountain pass here over the Brooks Range, and I'm sure it's going to be very scenic there. And then into Deadhorse. I'm thinking we might camp somewhere here tonight.
How do you say that word?
Ankatavuduk. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So there it is, the Yukon River.
There she blows.
Great hike.
Great hike.
Now the road up here has been pretty rough so far, but I'm happy to report that the van is taking it all like a champ. There's a few things that I could do to kind of change the ride comfort. I basically have 3 points of adjustment here. I could air down the tires, which wouldn't be a terrible idea. And then I can also make some adjustments to my auxiliary shock or my inverted rally strut. Currently, I have all of the tires set to about 65 PSI, so not crazy hard. And then my shocks all around are set to 3, being as stiff as possible, and the rally struts I have on the middle setting, which is 2. And then on that setting, you have a micro adjustment. So I have it right in the middle at 2.4. Now, if I air the tires down, I'm going to kind of jeopardize the stability at high speeds and turning and stuff like that. Again, I like to drive pretty quickly, and while there are a ton of semi-trucks out here and you kind of get stuck behind them for a while, we did hit a couple of parts of pavement so you can pass and you can carry higher speeds. So for that reason, I'm not going to air down, at least at this stop. And honestly, I'm really happy with these settings. The shocks at a 3 and the inverted rally struts at a 2.4. So we're just gonna continue on driving like this, and if I need to, I can make an adjustment really anywhere on the side of the road, but I probably won't stop until we get to Coldfoot, unless we see something cool in between here and there. Well, another 50-ish miles later, and we have made it to our next destination, the Arctic Circle.
Here we come.
We are here. We are going up here in this area. Greenland is probably as close as you can get to the very top. And you got all of Russia, some parts of like Europe. It's pretty crazy. Got some exhibits over here. Before the light goes out, the sun does not set this time of year up here. Or it does, but just for like an hour. That brings up another point. This entire journey would be much different doing it in the winter time. And I'm not saying I'm gonna do that, but it would be like a whole different trip. So far we're really enjoying this trip, and we could in theory do it again, and it would be a lot different in the winter time. We gotta do it.
Gotta do it. Sticking stickers. Making Jake proud.
Psy camo in the Arctic. Quick little outfit change because I'm going to have to crawl underneath the van. In the past 50 miles or so since we stopped, I decided, hey, let's check out some other suspension settings, and I turned everything to soft, which probably shouldn't have done because it rides really nice and smooth, but then you're compromising a little bit on the stability at high speeds, and I hit some pretty big bumps there because this road is not great, and I noticed that kind of broke something on the van. Now luckily this is not going to be a huge deal. I'll just have to be a little bit more careful, but you can see back here everything looks good. We've got the nice orange pumpkin from the locker there. Over on this side though, where my bump stop comes down, check this out. This thin little bracket here must have broken when I hit something really hard, so not a huge deal. This bump stop will just be not affected on this side anymore, so I stiffened everything back up to 3. The rally struts are at 2.5, and I'm just going to remove this for now, and then we'll complete the journey going a little bit slower, and hopefully I won't run into any issues with that. What do we need here? 13 should do it. Need something to hold this side too. Trying to do this around a hot exhaust is not ideal. Yeah, that'll be fine. Who needs bump stops anyway? All right, we're all fixed up.
All fixed up, so are we gonna drive slower now?
Yeah, slower.
There you go.
We are going to drive slower now.
Are you winking at the camera?
No, I was just making a motion.
Oh, a motion to symbolize slow?
Hey, at least we made it to the Arctic Circle before I broke something.
We did.
That could have been broken for miles, maybe. We didn't know. I mean, there were some really, really big bumps back there. Next stop will be if we need fuel, which we'll probably get fuel. We're only down 2 bars in total right now, so we still have hundreds of miles of range, but we have 60 miles till the next camp, which is Coldfoot. Well, 60 miles later and we have made it to the Coldfoot camp, which is our last stop to get fuel or maybe a bite to eat before the longest part of this journey, which is from here all the way up to Deadhorse and Prudhoe Bay. Now luckily, I don't need much fuel because of this big S&B tank, and fuel here is $7.49. Unfortunately, I will have to fill up at least a little bit here just to be safe. So let's see how much it takes here. I was actually able to put in 15 gallons at $114.92. That is not ideal, but it's what you got to do when you want to do an adventure like this. Now we are going to run inside of Coldfoot Camp here, maybe get dinner instead of cooking tonight. And I mean, we might as well check out what places like this has to offer, because who knows if we will ever be back up here.
That's what they're for, right? I think we should stick these down.
A little bit more. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cups.
Thank you. Roasted garlic roll and butter.
You gotta try some of this squash. It's so good. The salmon's good too.
It's really good.
I know.
Hello, Miss Camber.
Ice crunchies.
So, Coldfoot Camp truck stop food buffet line. It's
not the worst food I've eaten in my life.
No, it's the only option here. I mean, the other option was to drive a little more, stop and cook, but surprisingly, pretty damn good.
Butternut squash?
The grilled salmon, I'm assuming it came from a river around here because it was that fresh. You could tell it was like wild caught. At least it seemed that way. Maybe it's just Costco. They got a Costco on the other side of this mountain, right?
Do they?
Yeah, in Deadhorse.
You're being...
We're going to Costco in Deadhorse. I'll see you guys when we get there.
Got a dog in me.
Well, that was a long day. Guess what time it is right now? It is 10:17 p.m. and the sun is still up. I was actually checking the local area weather and everything to see what time sunset was going to be. And when I scroll through, you'll see that the sun doesn't set up here. So just out of Coldfoot, we were greeted with probably one of the most beautiful roads that I've ever driven on. How about you?
Yes.
Yeah. Ashley doesn't care.
I care. I do care. I don't give a f*** about these mosquitoes, though.
The road was paved probably better than the Alaskan Highway was paved on the way up here. It was nice, smooth sailing for a couple miles, and with the way the sun is like setting right now, it just lit up the mountains, and everything around us right now is just absolutely beautiful. We're at a camp spot, which is just right off the side of the Dalton Highway, and there's a river right here, and the dry riverbed you can kind of drive out to. There are tracks over here, but looks like they either have a lot of snow and glacier melt or had some rain recently, so we're not gonna try to get stuck while we're out here. Honestly, right now the mosquitoes they're not too bad right now.
Don't speak them into existence.
I think once it gets colder at night, they'll go away, but it feels pretty good right now. So far today, we saw a lot of wild stuff on the Dalton Highway. We're over halfway now. We probably did 200 or so miles, maybe 250, 260 from the very start. We saw a tractor trailer that unfortunately overturned, and hopefully whoever was driving that was okay. We went to the Finger Mountains as well, where you saw me climbing on the rocks, which was beautiful. That stuff was formed 110 million years ago.
110 million years ago?
When magma came up out of the ground.
It was
Pretty
windy
cool.
and cold. I didn't get to read the exhibits.
And then Coldfoot was awesome. Do you know why they call it Coldfoot?
I do.
Why?
Because people get cold feet driving from there up to Deadhorse.
Wow.
Do you know what the census was in 2020?
What was it?
34.
Oh my gosh. Where do people live there? That's what I want to know. Like,
I don't, at that freaking truck stop where they get that bomb-ass salmon.
I guess so. So yeah, this is where we're gonna call home for the night. I'm not sure how much activity the Dalton gets at night. I'm sure there's gonna be truckers ripping past here, and we're of course back off of pavement. A little bit of a washboard road, and everything that I kind of read about this with like the water crossings and obstacles and stuff, I think they're really just talking about the deteriorated road. There were some like obstacles, if you want to call them that, with just huge undulations in the road where...
Huge what?
Undulations.
Spell that,
it's like
please,
off camber.
Alex.
There were some of the biggest potholes and like craziness that we've seen. Obviously, I ripped one of my bump stop supports off, but that's okay. The van's doing great. The suspension is still tackling everything that we throw at it, and I'm really stoked that I got the van dialed in when I did. You got a mosquito on your face.
Get it, please. I already have like 5 bites on my face.
Oh, hi, Cam. What's your ball? Oh, so athletic.
Good job. Good job. Good job.
Now, surprisingly, the inside of the van is not too bad. Noise level is obviously pretty dang low because of Storyteller's quality, and even though I have some stuff like cutting boards sitting out and things hanging, this was a really rough road, and everything is still basically in its place other than all the stuff that we've been throwing around as we're living out of this thing while tackling the Arctic Circle. Now for some of the most important things on an Arctic trip. On the inside here, blackout shades. Canyon Adventure Vans climate shades here, so if it's hot outside, it'll keep the temperature a little bit cooler in here, and if it's cold outside, it'll keep the warmth in here. Also, Shieldman seats, you can flip them forward. And then we have the Showtime curtains, which are damn near blackout. If I wanted it to be even darker up here, what I would do is actually put my window shades in and then have these closed. But as long as you have these things positioned properly, they do a really good job. Icing on the cake. You can throw a little Netflix on the TV while we're going to bed. Just a little bit of background noise to drown out any road noise that we might hear, but also we could just open a window over here and listen to this river that's running past us. So overall, really solid day. You calling me? I'm over here. So the hard part right now is going to be just trying to unwind and get our bodies to realize that it is nighttime. It's going to be like 11 o'clock and then midnight here soon. The sun is still up. We could continue driving. I'm honestly not even really tired right now, but we do need to get some rest. We've got about 4 more hours to go on the Dalton Highway until we make it to Deadhorse and Prudhoe Bay, and then hoping, fingers crossed, we can get on to the Arctic Shuttle, which will take us through the kind of restricted areas and all the oil fields up there, which will put us at our destination of the Arctic Ocean. Welcome.
Grab her. Grab her.
Are you wet?
Just a little muddy.
Muddy? You getting the van dirty? So we may run into a little trouble tomorrow, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. We're going to bed, so I'll talk to you guys in the morning. You thirsty? Good morning, everyone. We are starting the day off a little bit late because sleeping up here in the Arctic Circle when the sun never goes down is kind of difficult, especially when you have a little gremlin.
Don't call me a gremlin.
Not you, Camper. You too, though. You look like a gremlin right now. Come over here. What's that hair doing?
You just wait. You prepare to be amazed.
It looks great. Last night we ended up camping just a little bit south of Atigun Pass, which is obviously super famous. It's one of the tallest, or I should say highest, maintained mountain passes up here in Alaska. It's really only about 4,400 feet or so, which to us doesn't sound like much because we're of course in Colorado all the time, but up here you're generally around sea level, so the mountains just kind of appear a little bit bigger because overall sometimes they can be. Now, I may have went down the rabbit hole of watching some very old episodes of Ice Road Truckers last night because they frequent the Dalton Highway. They're stopping in all these places that we've been. Yukon, Coldfoot, and then eventually up to Deadhorse. I watched an episode that was like almost an hour long about a bunch of different truck drivers trying to get over this mountain pass that we're about to go over, but it was dead of winter, phase 3 whiteout conditions, so you can't see anything, and a lot of them get stranded out here until the weather clears up. Luckily, let's see what the temperature is right now. It's already 68 degrees here, so I don't think the temperature or snowfall is going to be an issue.
It might.
It might. I'm still trying to wake up. We tried leaving this camp spot at 7, but like I said, didn't sleep well. It's currently 11:10.
What?
11:10 our time.
Oh.
It is 9:10 in the morning here. Let's go to the Arctic Ocean. We have made it all the way to the end of the Dalton Highway, so welcome to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. This is where roads stop in North America. You really can't drive much further than this, and we have successfully done it. It's cold up here. It's about 35 degrees Fahrenheit with the wind chills, probably even colder, and that was quite a journey. We still haven't made it to the Arctic Ocean yet, but hopefully we will get there. We left this morning and headed our way up over Atigun Pass, and it was absolutely beautiful. You come down over the Brooks Range and the roads get really bad, so I decided to finally air down, and I'm glad I did because the roads were bad until we got closer up here to Deadhorse and Prudhoe Bay. I went down to 30 in the front and 40 in the rear. It smoothed out the ride, and it was pretty smooth sailing for most of the time. We hit some pretty gnarly weather, which, I mean, I shouldn't even say gnarly for up here, but it was almost white out. Obviously no snow or anything, but really low visibility for a while there, and we're way up here in like proper tundra. There are tundras all over the country, including in Colorado, but up here it just hits way differently. I often say in videos at some of these places that I get to explore, I'm like, wow, this really looks like a different world, a different planet, and now my perspective of that has completely changed. When it comes to another planet or another world, this right here is like as close to a true other planet as you can get, because the environment is so hostile. There's really no trees or vegetation up here. The only thing that can grow are like little tiny plants, some grass and stuff like that, but not even a bush in sight for miles and miles. If humanity as a whole was ever to reach another planet, it would probably resemble something like this compared to basically anything else. Just super desolate. This is the most remote that we have ever been before, and it's insane.
Hello.
Hello.
Big summer blowout.
Did you see the Costco on the way in?
Yeah, I guess where I got my shirt.
Yeah, she's got her Costco shirt on for the Costco in Deadhorse. It's cold out here, I'm coming in.
Okay.
So now is where we run into a little bit of a predicament. We're not exactly sure how this is going to go, but a lot of the land up here is owned by oil and gas companies, obviously, hence the Alaskan pipeline. And the only way to get to properly the Arctic Ocean is to hop on a shuttle, because you need to be like guided by security through these restricted areas. Now the problem we hopefully won't run into is the shuttle service. We gave them a call yesterday and made sure that we could get on it. They said that there was some kind of issue with one of the oil drilling companies. It was kind of vague. We're not entirely sure what that means, but we need to go to the check-in area at Deadhorse and actually see if the shuttle is running, to see if we can get through all of this restricted access area to go experience the Arctic Ocean. So now we're gonna head over there, fingers crossed, hopefully use the bathroom, need to get fuel, and hopefully we can make it to the Arctic Ocean. So excited.
Not you, Cam. You'll try to swim in the Arctic Ocean.
You're gonna hold down the fort. It's too cold for doggos.
Too cold for doggos.
That's coffee.
Watch and learn.
You can't have caffeine. We are at the Deadhorse Camp now, and luckily we're all checked in for our ride up to the Arctic Ocean. We are going to be 2 of 8, possibly, if people get here and show up. We are scheduled to leave in probably about 45 minutes, it looks like, and this whole like outpost camp area here is kind of wild. It reminds me of something that you'd see in a sci-fi movie, like an encampment on Mars or in the Arctic, because that's where we're at. We're sitting in this little kitchen area here. Ashley is making some coffee, hot chocolate, mini moos. Okay. And you can actually rent a room to stay here at night, which is kind of cool. It's either here or the Prudhoe Bay Hotel.
Both luxurious options.
Okay. Well, it is super cold and windy, but we have officially made it to the Arctic Ocean. This point that we're standing right here is the furthest north and west that you can possibly drive a vehicle with roads, and we did it.
We did it.
Do you feel accomplished?
I will feel accomplished when I can feel my legs.
We still have to go in the water.
What?
We're going in the ocean. It's just white out here. You can't even tell where the ground is. Or the ocean. The Arctic Ocean.
It's a little frozen.
It's a little frozen.
Look out there.
It's not very often that I have an overland adventure where it feels this rewarding. This is probably the most rewarding feeling I've had on a trip like this in a long time. We will probably never be more further north than we are right now.
We're on top of the world.
Literally. It is so cold. The actual North Pole is right over my shoulder here, about 1,200 miles, and supposedly you could walk there. You could walk there because obviously the ocean is frozen. Oh my gosh, it's so cold. let's go over there where we can go stick our feet in the water.
What you doing there, bud?
We're going in the ocean.
Who's we?
Me.
Oh,
That's probably my flag here.
Windsock, if you will.
That's what it is.
This is so dumb.
Let me see those chicken legs.
Chicken legs.
Chicken wing, chicken wing.
It's basically like being in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Watch out for those Arctic gators. And I can't feel my feet.
We did it.
We did it.
That was the most rewarding adventure so far, and that's really just scratching the surface. We got into Alaska and drove straight up here to see the Arctic Ocean. We conquered the Dalton Highway, and now we got to do the whole thing again in reverse.
Reverse, reverse.
That water was obviously
it was freezing.
absolutely frigid.
So cold.
Probably the coldest water I've ever been in because
that I've ever touched.
dramatic. Ashley didn't even get in. She was like, my feet are in it. You had boots on. That doesn't count.
Getting these freaking things on and off.
I couldn't feel my toes for like a solid 20 minutes after that, but they warmed up on the ride back through the oil fields and everything. Arctic Circle, we're never going to forget this. We got videos and photos too, but yeah, this is definitely something that I would recommend to those who are into some pretty extreme adventures. If you're into overlanding and you have a capable vehicle, like the Storyteller, I mean, I couldn't imagine a better way to do it. So that was amazing. After the ocean, we came to where we're at right now. This is the Aurora Hotel up here.
I know these buildings don't look like they would be appealing, but the food's been good.
Yeah, very good. So we had another buffet tonight, had some more baked salmon this time. It was very good. And I guess we're gonna start the drive out of the tundra. I'm hoping we can make it over that pass. I almost said before sunset. It's not gonna set. That's great for me. I'm not tired, so it is currently 6 p.m. right now, and we're just gonna drive until I don't feel like driving anymore. I don't know if we'll make it back to Coldfoot, but eventually tomorrow we will be back in Fairbanks, Alaska, and then the whole next portion of this trip actually starts where we're gonna go to Denali and Anchorage, and I polled you guys on Instagram and you gave me all these spots to check out, so I've got a ton of stuff pinned on my map, and you guys will see that in the next video and any future video of Alaska coverage.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. If you guys are new to this channel, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every single week. As always, thank you for watching.
I'll talk to you in the next one.
You got it.